So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome back to the international talk on green business, sustainability, and climate action, which is being organized jointly by the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability and the Global Green Chamber of Commerce. So, I'm inviting Ms. Michelle Thatcher, the CEO of Global Green Chamber of Commerce, for an opening remarks.
Thank you so much and welcome everyone. Today, we're going to explore how education, technology, and human connection are shaping the future of sustainability. Our first speaker, Professor Shireen, will share how universities and governance systems can embed climate responsibility into leadership and learning. And then next, Mr. Mayank, CEO of the Sustainability Cloud, will show how technology and AI are transforming ESG from reporting to real-time accountability. And then finally, Hasleen will bring the human dimension, highlighting how inclusion, empathy, and social trust can turn sustainability into a shared movement. And together, their insights remind us that the path to a sustainable future lies where knowledge, innovation, and compassion intersect. So we're so happy to have you joining us today. And we know that we're such a global audience. And so welcome to those who are joining us on LinkedIn. We have Tay, who will be helping collect questions and comments over on that side of things. I also wanted to just share that our next talk, the 30th, oh my goodness, I can't believe we have 30 already. International talk will be on Thursday, November 13th. We're going to have a really special program for that talk. And I know we have just amazing speakers, and we'll be talking about, in particular, the ideas and thoughts and implementation for Gaza reconstruction and more. So please don't miss that one. We want you to join us for sure. And right now, we're just going to take a moment of silence in this world of many, many challenges, both on the national level, world level, and even in our own families and work situations. You know, there might be some conflict and some challenges. So we just want to send one moment to give peace, love, and kindness out there to the world. And we'll extend that today to each of you who are listening in and to our speakers to give them strength in their presentations today. So much, much love and peace and kindness to each of you. And for those that are with us, we really encourage your participation. This is, as I mentioned, a very global audience. So number one, please share where you're joining us from today. Give us your city and your country if possible. And then also for each and every speaker, after they give their presentation, we're going to go ahead and do the Q&A session. So at the end of all of the presentations, we'll be asking your questions, and we'll even making sure that we're giving credit to each of the individuals asking the questions. So please drop in your questions for each speaker. You can just drop them in as they're giving their presentation, and then we'll come back to them. So thank you again for joining us here. And I want to pass it back to Dr. Wissam. And I know I always share that, you know, without him, we wouldn't be here today, but I also want to share that it is such a joy to work with Dr. Wissam in so many ways. He is such a visionary leader and has so many ideas, and we have so many programs coming up, and he's really making such a positive impact in the world. So thank you, Dr. Wissam, for bringing us all together. And without further ado, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Michelle, for this introduction and the kind words. So, yeah, we'll start with our guest speaker, and our guest speakers will be Prof. Shireen Farouk. Prof. Shireen is the Associate Provost of Internationalization and Academic Projects at Abu Dhabi University, the United Arab Emirates. So the floor is yours, Prof. Shireen.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Wissam, and thank you, Michelle. Really, it is truly a privilege to be here today as part of the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability series. This platform reminds us that sustainability is not confined to one sector or discipline. It is a shared responsibility that unify governments, businesses, and academia in shaping a future that is both prosperous and enduring. From my point of view, higher education institutions are not merely educators, they are the architects of future societies. They nurture the thinkers, innovators, and policymakers who will shape the world of tomorrow. But beyond the classrooms, businesses too have become powerful catalysts for change, turning ideas into innovation and innovation into measurable impact. Together, education and enterprise hold the key to embedding sustainability into the global mindset. Today, sustainability is far more than a moral impressive. It defines how credible, competitive, and future ready an organization can be. Across sectors, we are witnessing a major shift from viewing sustainability as a symbolic act to recognizing it as a strategic driver of performance and innovation. The most successful organization now understand that green performance is a good performance. When we invest in clean technologies, inclusive culture, and responsible operations, we are not just protecting the planet, we are strengthening resilience and creating long term value. At this core, sustainability means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own. It rests on what we often call the triple bottom line. Leadership is the bridge between aspiration and action. In higher education, universities drive research on renewable energy, waste management, sustainable agriculture, and social innovation. They educate engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs, and policymakers who will lead future green transition. In the business world, visionary leaders are reimagining products, supply chains, and operation through the lens of sustainability, asking how can we design with purpose? How can we minimize waste? How can we create value that regenerates rather than depletes? At Abu Dhabi University, this transformation is deeply rooted in our mission. Sustainability, it is not just a department, it is a mindset, it is a culture. Through our ISO 14001 environmental system and ESG dashboard, we track our carbon footprint, procurement, and social impact in aligning with the UAE Net Zero 2050 vision. Each decision, from classroom design to infrastructure, reflect our commitment to responsible governance. And this principle applies equally in business. What get measured get managed, and what get managed improves. A powerful example of this integration of EDU's digital transformation journey, which has reduced paper usage by more than 60%. What began as a sustainability initiative evolved into a culture shift, and this is the most important thing. The same question every forward-thinking company should be asking today. Across industries, sustainability is reshaping operation and governance. Businesses are committed to carbon neutrality, embracing renewable energy, and adopting circular economy models that prioritize and reuse and recycling. Universities mirror this through green campuses, energy efficient buildings, and waste reduction programs that teach by examples. Both are providing that operation efficiency and environmental responsibilities go hand in hand. In fact, green infrastructure is becoming the new standard as well. Many universities and corporations now see that sustainable campuses and workplaces attract students, faculty, and employees who want to contribute to a better world. In this way, sustainability has become a powerful magnet for talent and innovation. I have the privilege to serve on EDU's Sustainability Strategic Committee, where our focus is ensuring that our sustainability goals align with the SDGs. This role allows us to see how higher educations and business can jointly drive global sustainability through data, policy, and innovation. Also, if I want to talk about sustainability from a different perspective, I can talk about social inclusion and gender equality as well. I'm proud that 40% of our faculty and 47 of our staff members are women. This gender balance creates a collaborative environment where women are not just participating but leading transformative change. From Green Campus Initiative to Carbon Neutrality Project, women at ADU have played vital roles in advancing sustainability. And this minors a global trend, organization that empower women in leadership, make more balanced, creative, and effective sustainability decisions. The UAE itself provides a powerful example of gender equality, tolerance, and coexistence. We have a minister of tolerance and coexistence in the UAE. This region leaders promote inclusivity, diversity, and tolerance. I just also mentioned some examples from my day-to-day operations about sustainability. For example, we are hosting the Arab Universities network for carbon change, for environmental climate change and carbon net zero carbon. It is hosted by Abu Dhabi University under the umbrella of the Association of Arab Universities. Also, we are organizing a mega events conference on sustainability on the 1st of December, and this considered to be the largest in the region. We are associated by around 54 Q1 and Q2 journal publications, and we have more than 70 leaders across 102 regions coming to talk about sustainability. They are ambassadors, ministers, chancellors of universities in 10 different panels in order to bridge the gap between the academia, government, and industry. So I want to say that at Abu Dhabi University, sustainability is not just only a concept, it's a culture, it's a mindset. We are embedding sustainability not only in our teaching, the courses, and the learning outcomes, not only in our research that we are doing, but also in all our operations. It's the heart of our operation. I think that sustainability is a very important topic which we should all work together in order to embed the culture of sustainability in the mindset even of our students who will be the future leaders in will lead transformational economies in their countries. I'm very glad to be here. I'm very happy. I give you some examples about how EDU embedding sustainability. We have also 3 research centers on sustainability and artificial intelligence. What my message today, or what I want to say, that sustainability should become a culture, a day-to-day activity and practice. It should be in the mindset, not only us, but also the future leaders, and in the mindset of our students. In each action, in each operation, in each goal and objective, we should consider sustainability. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. Shireen, for this enlightening remarks on the role of higher education and the initiatives taken by the Abu Dhabi University to promote sustainability in all aspects.
I think Wissam, a higher education institution, they have a big responsibility. They have a big responsibility in order to promote sustainability, and they have a big responsibility toward the communities which they are working with. And they should do several initiative and action in order to promote it. Whether, for example, some initiatives related to the schools, workshops, seminars, conferences like the one that we are doing. So it is very important. And I think this is really an important role for higher education. So it's not just only we teach the principles of sustainability in our courses and in the classroom, but we should practice it. And it should be part of our corporate social responsibility as well. We should lead by example as well. Thank you so much.
Dr. Wissam, are you with us? Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Prof. Yeah, thank you so much for those, ideas. And
I think we might be losing Dr. Wissam. So I'm going to pass the torch over to Mr. Mayank, who will talk to us today about leveraging technology for scalable ESG and climate action. So Mr. Mayank, I'll give you the floor.
Sure. So thank you, Michelle. So hello, everyone. I am Mayank. I am the co-founder and CEO of the Sustainability Cloud. We are a company in the space of digitization of sustainability and data-driven net zero transition. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Wissam and Mitchell for, as well as the global ambassadors of sustainability and the Green Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity and this platform to share my views on how the technology is playing a very important role when it comes to managing the overall like the ESG and the sustainability aspect. Now, let me start by saying that like when we look at the juncture at which we all stand today, we are basically at the crossroads with this climate urgency, and we are seeing a lot of digital transformation as well. Now, one thing which I personally strongly believe is that our next wave of progress will come not only from mere pledges, but we'll see that coming from platforms, data, intelligence, and how exactly the technology can help scale those pledges into measurable action. Now, so that is what the real challenge is, scaling and how to move from basically just pilot projects or the initial few projects and move to strong corporate commitments in this regard. So over the next few minutes, what I'll do is I'll explore how this digital infrastructure, how these APIs, these cloud data lakes, the AI models, ESG automation can actually help to turn these particular ambitions into evidence and actually enable to do reporting into real-time reductions, because sustainability that does not scale simply will not sustain out. So that's how we should look at it. Now, I'll start with a quick flashback. I'm sure that many of the audiences may have seen this before as well, but we have come from a long way over the last 30 odd years in terms of where the frameworks came into play, they evolved, and now the ESG and the accountability or related to the ESG, the sustainability is gaining strong ground in terms of the various frameworks, whether those are global frameworks or the regional and the local regulations, which are now getting speed up to it. So we see that we have the the Tadawul ESG guidelines in the KSA, which are basically pushing and promoting the disclosures aligned with all the large corporates. We in the UAE, we have the ADX and the DFM. In the EU, the CSRD has been there for already for a while, and its implementation is yet to take the full stride. India is having the BRSR core and the value chain partners, which is again like pushing especially the listed entities to embed ESG as a part of their direct their annual financial as well as non-financial reporting. So essentially, ESG is no longer an option to basically just showcase by the company. It is something that like each of the companies have to take in a very serious fashion, and we'll see how data and technology can take this problem to the solution. Now, if we dive into the challenges that we see, which the companies or the corporates face in demonstrating climate action, the first aspect is that the sustainability data is very, very like you can say siloed out or very, very disparate. Sustainability is a huge, humongous amount of data. So you have data, you may have your energy data, you have your water data, you have your waste data, carbon, scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, plastic waste, solid waste. So the spectrum is very wide, and this data is trapped out in a lot of silos. So that's like one part of the big challenge. Second is we are looking at like millions and millions, rather billions of transactions that are happening every day with respect to the sustainability data, and it becomes important of having a structured mechanism to start translating these transactions into much more you can say information that can be decoded by the enterprise towards the climate goals. Now, I spoke about the evolving regulations that have been there both at the like at the federal level, at the global level, at the regional level, and this is further combined by the multi-geographical or the multi-locational operational aspect which the enterprises, with the global enterprises today engage in. So this problem in itself becomes far more complex than even your financial accounting, and there is where the technology comes to your rescue. Now, if we move into the specific challenges that we have seen, like the corporates and the enterprises face, is that I spoke about the disconnected data sources. So like whether the data is related to your energy, your HR, your procurement, it is lying in various silos. Some are there in your ERP systems, other are there in your production management systems, some are there in IT, OT systems, and they all need to be brought together. Second is that a big amount of time that the enterprises and the industries as well as other organizations spending is basically consolidating this data together. So there is no central repository that exists at most of the enterprises, which like kind of further complicates the problem. Third is that we see a very heavy reliance on Excel sheets and templates that will continue to be there, which means that this data cannot be acted upon in real time. There's a huge amount of delay before you have the data and then you translate that into insights. So which makes it more of a reactive approach rather than a like a data driven or a proactive insight based report. So that's like one of the major issues. And again, like I was going through one of the studies by the like EY, which says that more than 30 to 40% time that is spent by the sustainability team is actually just in gathering and aggregating data rather than translating and analyzing that data for how to basically reduce emissions or reduce the impact of the climate change. So when it comes to technology, how will technology help out addressing these problems? So the aspect is that we see that the technologies in today's world are evolving from real-time, the industrial IoT technologies, the AI technologies, the machine learning technologies, which all are coming together to actually solve this problem. So the first aspect is you get all the data into a central repository, and there is where again your technology layer becomes like super important. So gathering the data from your IT systems, OT systems into a central repository so that you can make sure that there is a single data lake and a single source of truth which is being acted upon. So that's one. Second aspect is digitizing this data into the actual workflows within the company, so as to make sure that the sustainability is included as a daily aspect of the operational reality that the company is having, rather than just a year and effort like it had been done like decades ago. Then aligning this data to the goals that the organization is committed for. Again, sustainability is a long journey. Net zero transition is a long journey. So organizations like basically will take this in year on year, step by step, and becomes very important to know how much you are progressing in the direction of the goals that the organization has set up for. And there is where again this alignment plays a very important role. And this has to be tied then to your you can say both reward mechanism, display mechanism, so that this data is appropriately reported within the enterprise across the various stakeholders. So whether they are your business teams or whether your sustainability teams or your financial teams, your operational teams, they ought to be on the same page, where only technology plays a very important aspect to fill those gaps. And lastly, moving from just simple reporting across your regulators and investors to optimizing the data into credible net zero pathways that can actually help you move towards the climate targets or the SBTi targets that you're doing. So this is the roadmap that like technology players are enabling. And as per our understanding, we have seen that most of the organizations are able to achieve in the first couple of months using any of the standard tools that are available out there, move on the steps onto this particular journey. Now, going further into it, the general framework, I would say, that we have seen, which exists across or which enables any organization or any large industry or corporate to actually move their sustainability journey in a structured fashion, is first getting the data lake, which we already spoke about here. Technologies like the industrial IoT, your API-based mechanisms become a very important aspect for gathering the data and creating the central data lake. So this is essentially serves as the data layer, and this has to be continuously ingested with the ESG-based transaction or the environmental-based transactions that are happening, just like your financial transactions. So it's very similar to the way the financial works, that these transactions should be captured. The second aspect is that once you have this data, there ought to be a mechanism where this data is being churned out in terms of what makes sense. For example, in case of carbon, you need to know, have like an accounting engine kind of, say, just like in the financial world, you end up doing the financial accounting. Here you need to do the carbon accounting, the energy accounting, the water accounting, so which enables business leaders to know where the enterprises is right now as they move towards the sustainability goals. Then further to that, this data is then like analyzed and reported across the various key stakeholders. So I already spoke about how this data needs to be can be utilized by the business teams. Further to this, the data can easily be utilized by the regulators, which are basically, this is very clear in terms of whether the security exchange boards or the environmental regulators or the environmental protection agencies. This data can be ingested by them, and that will enable to know what basically more or less in real time how organizations are actually moving towards the target. Lastly, if you look at the next aspect is just getting the data and the reports will not solve the problem. That is just understanding where you are right now. The goal is to basically keep on reducing it year on year, month on month, year on year, and reaching the net zero goals that the organization or your state or your city or your nation has gone for. And there is where the analytics and the insights play a very important role. So this comes in forms of your visual dashboards, your forecasting models, your AI driven reports, and your stakeholder outputs, which make sure that the sustainability KPIs are on the top of their agendas and are in alignment with the other business objectives that are being pursued at the boardroom level. Now, at this point in time, I would quickly like to introduce the sustainability cloud. So we have been in this space for close to more than 1.5 decades now, and worked with more than 1,000+ organizations. And what I will be further doing is I'll be quickly taking you through the challenges that these organizations have faced, so that the audience can become aware of how such challenges can be overcome. Now, coming to the values, as you start deploying the technology, what are the values that are generated by the technology and the digitization? So one, the ESG and the sustainability data monitoring moves into real-time monitoring. So it's not that it's not that you need to look at it on a quarterly basis or an annual basis. So ideally, the ESG and the sustainability data should be looked upon on a daily basis, and just like any other KPIs associated with any other function. So that problem gets solved very clearly. You end up having the centralized repository, which means that a single source of truth is out there, and the anomalies becomes like a thing of the past. Then applying your AI mechanisms, your automated data analysis saves a huge amount of time to the sustainability teams, and the business leaders can focus upon taking the actions, improving the overall transparency and the traceability around how the reports were generated, what action needs to be taken, and translate this to basically predictive analysis and risk management in terms of the climate goals that are being pursued by the company. Again, in this entire aspect, the time efficiency becomes the timely efficiency of the regulatory compliances across the geography becomes very important, because we have seen that the regulatory frameworks have been in a continuous evolving mechanism, and so the technology enables to slice and dice this data in a very easy form to take this forward. Now, I have spoken a lot about data and the data engineering, but one thing I would like to reiterate and impress is that more than 80% of the corporate leaders and the organizations that we have interacted with, we have seen that data is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to managing sustainability and climate action. And hence, it becomes critically important that any organization focuses upon the application of technology for creating this central data lake, because without that, no analytics, no AI will basically do their job. So getting this data, both in terms of the manual data, getting it from your API systems or any other third-party systems, your supply chain data, your customer data, your employee data from your existing ERP systems, or your the operational technologies, OT technologies in terms of the SCADA systems, your PLCs, your distributed control systems, your building management systems. That data is all relevant for sustainability. Similarly, in today's world of industrial IoT, getting the data from any IoT platforms or directly from the devices to ensure that you're always on the top of the data that needs to be analyzed, which is very specific to your own company. So this is the key challenge which the technology has solved, and the enterprises has gained from that. Now, once you have the data, then is these 8 key values which you see starts getting unlocked. So once you have the data, then you can start doing just like your financial bookkeeping. You can start doing your ESG bookkeeping, your carbon accounting across your scope 1, scope 2, scope 3s, and these 8 are basically the different facets or the different pillars in your entire ESG and the climate action journey. So your carbon accounting across scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, your sustainability reporting. Again, there are multiple frameworks around this. Some are global frameworks, some are regulatory, or some are voluntary or statutory frameworks. So all those aspects needs to the data that you have collected. These frameworks will basically be slicing and dicing that data. Then once you're into it, the net zero decarbonization pathways. So it becomes very important that technology translates this data into credible net zero pathways through the applications of algorithms, through the applications of simple techniques, for example, like assigning a carbon score, assigning a water score, or a sustainability score, which enables the business leaders and enterprises to know where they are right now when it comes to their entire ESG and sustainability journey, and also alignments with the science-based target initiatives and the SBTN initiatives as well. Then you have the various regulations that are coming in. For example, the EU CBAM regulations, which are due to come in force, which like rather last year they were there on the trial basis, and now they are moving into force from 1st of January, as well as managing your entire climate operations related to energy, environmental, and water footprints. So these are the key 8 pillars. So once you have the data, where analysis and analytics will start creating values. So essentially, the technology enables you to unify your organization's climate data across your carbon footprints, across your water operations, your waste, your energy, your environmental impact in terms of direct emissions, effluents, and air quality. And that is what a digital platform is expected to do. So with that, I'll say that the business leaders today are now moving in the direction of applying technology from like just solving the ESG data problem and the reporting to basically scaling that and achieving the overall climate ambitions that the organizations have committed for. And there is where technology players like us come into play, and the sustainability cloud enables enterprises to do that. So with that, I'll conclude the presentation and hand it over to Dr. Wissam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mayank, for this interesting sharings on the data and sustainability and ESGs. So now we move to the next speaker. Our guest speaker will be Ms. Hazleen Ahmed. And Ms. Hazleen is the Global System Architect for Progressive Futures, Strategic Foresight Consultant from Singapore. So the floor is yours, Ms. Hazleen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Everyone can hear me, yeah? It's good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everyone who's joining us today. Thank you so much for having me. It's late for some of you, so I'll try to make this as exciting as possible. Thank you again, Dr. Wissam and Michelle, for organizing this. This is quite an exciting time for us. Every morning, I stand in a long queue of cars, waiting to drop my daughters off at school. Each child arrives in different cars, a small reflection of how convenience has quietly replaced consciousness. I often think back to my own childhood, walking miles, feeling connected to nature without ever calling it sustainability, where back then we lifted, we reused, we shared, we cared, without labels or frameworks. Just as Singapore's government has emphasized, human societies thrive when nurtured by nature and community. Today, I wonder, are our schools actually embedding these values early enough? Are we helping children practice daily changes that make sustainability a lived experience and habit, not just a subject they learn at school? Families are the first classrooms of empathy and inclusion. They build the social DNA that powers innovation, sustainability, and responsible enterprise. Now, if care begins at home, then restoring the planet starts with how we teach our children to live consciously every day. Sustainability requires commitment, iterative learning, and the nurturing of both people and our environment. Climate action. This is the imperative. Sustainability without social cohesion is fragile. Climate action doesn't fail because we lack ideas or technology. It fails because we lack social systems that allow solutions to take root. True innovation requires more than ecological balance. It needs trust, empathy, cohesion. This invisible infrastructure that enables communities to act together. Time and again, it is women and young leaders that drive impact, often without titles or privilege, simply guided by responsibility. Stronger social systems create stronger climate resilience. Data confirms this. The S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, RSIS for short, in Singapore, we have a social cohesion radar. And this shows that ASEAN rates at 69%, Singapore at 81%, and the Philippines at 73%. Sustainability is not just green technology or economy. It's about trust in action. Now, this is our pilot. Education is the seedbed of sustainability. Our pilot will be in Singapore, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. So we aim to cultivate early awareness and acceptance of sustainable practices, reaching children before habits become entrenched. This program will be co-led by teachers and students, fostering inclusivity and collaboration. Education becomes the bridge between empathy and enterprise to turn awareness into responsible action that will last a lifetime. Now, research from UNEP and related environmental health studies, it shows that access to green spaces in schools and communities improves children's physical and mental well-being and deepens their connection to the environment. We learn from global best practices, but we need to adapt locally, blending universal insight with local relevance. Do good people. This is our mechanism. Education lays the foundation, but awareness alone isn't enough. We need a systemic change, a system that translates values into measurable action. Now, that's where Do Good People comes into our ecosystem. When they operationalizes empathy, turning awareness into tangible outcomes. It forms the behavioral backbone of HA Global Impact Ventures, my company registered in Singapore, which I lovingly call it AHA Give. It is based on the 20-20-20 model. It shows that purposeful capital can drive social and environmental sustainability, like the Singapore Kindness Movement, initiated to encourage everyday acts of kindness and empathy, social responsibility. We aim to make sustainability tangible and very exciting, not just theory, but lived daily experience. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. I'm very proud to introduce our Kindness Index. We have been studying kindness to understand what makes it thrive and how to scale it across humanity. Amid rapid technological progress from AGI, longevity research, we have to ask this important question. What makes kindness truly flourish? That's why we developed this Kindness Index. It's a framework to study, to measure and scale kindness in practical ways. The index is guided by 5 core beliefs: intrinsic, inclusive, contextual, impactful, and measurable. And we track 5 pillars, as you see here. 1, empathy and compassion. This is about caring for others. 2, generosity and sharing, giving time and resources. 3, respect and non-judgmental, dignity and acceptance. The next is trust and social cohesion. It's about building bonds and resolving conflicts, as you mentioned. Lastly, self-kindness and well-being. This is very important. It's about self-care as the true foundation. To mobilize these pillars, we launch, in collaboration with Do Good People, the Kindness in Action Challenge. We invite companies and institutions to participate. Building on the Do Good People mechanism, this initiative turns measurable empathy into practical practice, tracking trust, belonging, collaboration, and care across our communities. Now, while the Kindness Index measures individual and organizational acts of empathy, this is our social cohesion radar. It provides the foundation for understanding how these acts translate into broader systemic impact. As you can see, it measures 5 critical dimensions: trust, belonging, empathy, inclusion, and collaboration. These are the building blocks of resilient communities and organizations. The radar has 3 interconnected layers, as you can see on the left. You can see the social cohesion is the inner layer. It begins with empathy and measurable acts of kindness. Innovation capacity is the middle layer. This strengthens when cohesion enables collaboration. Now, the outer layer is what's visible: our climate resilience, where adaptive systems emerge when communities are cohesive. Now, but measurement alone is not enough. The insights guide programs, policies, and initiatives, turning the data into actionable impact. This is our case insight, our Women Leaders think tank. We operationalize these lessons by promoting sustainability in lifestyles and building generative community, which models across health, tech, youth, and farming. Women leadership, the pipelines empower children and families, increasing local trust and participation. This is done from Singapore across Southeast Asia. And this is where empathy becomes enterprise and inclusion becomes measurable. It's about restoring trust and safeguarding our people and our planet. And obviously, peace. Because when women lead, peace follows. Now, empathy becomes enterprise and inclusion becomes measurable. This is where it gets interesting. This is our Youth and Tech Resilience Fund. This fund will develop innovators who will turn community challenges into sustainable solutions. 3 women-led projects that span heritage, finance, farming, and tech, embedding sustainability and ethics into youth ecosystem. Purposeful capital will ensure innovation grows from inclusion, not exclusion. Education, entrepreneurship, and ethics must come together to make sustainability the outcome of everyday innovation. Why? This is about care and capital. When care becomes capital, purpose becomes strategy, and sustainability will become inevitable. In Davao, Philippines, and Singapore, nurses, they act as community anchors. We want to connect care, heritage, and women's empowerment. We aim to invest $2 million for 200 women beneficiaries. The results, and we are confident about this, it will show that cohesive communities are also climate resilient. So why does it matter for businesses and for policies? High social cohesion improves ESG, and innovation matrix inclusion builds adaptability. Empathy builds retention. The RSIS social cohesion data confirms that strong connectedness in Singapore and the Philippines correlates with resilience and growth. A regenerative economy requires inclusion, ethics, foresight. This is a total cognitive rethink for progressive futures. Purposeful capital and sustainable strategy must converge to redefine value creation. So how can we collaborate? So ladies and gentlemen and participants, we are uniquely positioned to embed social cohesion into national, family, and education strategies by aligning capital, early education, and social cohesion. We can create ecosystems where innovation and resilience can thrive. So experiential programs like Deep Kind Walk and Mind Mountain Movement provide hands-on ways to live these values. These initiatives illustrate that embedding empathy, care, and inclusion into daily life is the first step, the very first step towards lasting regenerative impact. This is my closing vision and my final takeaway. So when everyone belongs, the planet will finally have an opportunity to heal, because sustainability begins at home. It grows, it does grow through communities, and it's embedded in every system we touch. Regenerative leadership ensures that both social and ecological systems thrive, and they connect in harmony. I would love to leave you with a practical way to turn today's ideas and our webinar that Dr. Wissam has organized into real action. This is a time banking for a kinder, more connected world. This is a personal takeaway that I wish that you would take from today's talk. Exit Time operationalizes kindness to transform empathy into measurable collaboration. All you need to do is register on hextime.com with your name and email and verify your account. Check your spam so you can scan that QR code. So it's about sharing your skill. This is back to barter trade, exchanging time for value. Every hour you give, you earn an hour in return. When you sign up, you will earn 5 credits. If you don't have the time, you can give it away to someone else. This is where we create a new economy of goodwill. Remember, you can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. A healthy environment is seen as the bedrock upon which all development is built, and key for the enjoyment of all human rights. Humanity now understands that we must transform societies and economies to protect planet Earth, our only home, so that this small, blue, vibrant planet, alone in the universe, may sustain everyone, everywhere. This is the words of Inger Anderson from UNEP Executive Director. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to collaborating with everyone and working together in partnership. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Hazleen, for this interesting presentation. So I'd like to thank all the speakers. So start by Prof. Shireen talking about the role of higher education in achieving sustainability. And then Mr. Mayank talk about the data and sustainability and ESGs. And we concluded with Ms. Hasleen talking about the social sustainability. So I'm inviting now Ms. Michelle to moderate the Q&A session. So the floor is yours, Ms. Michelle.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the amazing presentations today. I always like to start with just looking at what the common thread is, because all the presentations seem so different and varied, but there's always a commonality between the three of them. And today it's systems transformation, moving isolated actions into integrated ecosystems where whether it be data, governance, and or human connection reinforce one another. All three of them also collectively highlight that sustainability is no longer just about resources, it's also about relationships between the people and the technology, and leadership and trust, ethics and performance. And then each also underscore accountability as the next frontier, whether it be on the institutional ethics side with Professor Shireen, data integrity with Mr. Mayank, and social trust with Ms. Hasleen. So thank you for those. And I also want to just highlight, I always mention how we have a global audience, and these are just a few of the regions that people are joining us from today. We always talk about our global sustainability family. So we have people from Kenya, Singapore, Mexico City, UK, Gaza, Japan, USA, Himachal Pradesh, India, several people there from there, London, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Jakarta, Indonesia, Morocco, Pakistan, several people from Pakistan, Germany, Nairobi, Kenya, UAE, Algeria, Kigali, Rwanda, Lagos, Nigeria, Dubai, Cameroon, Tunisia, quite a few from Tunisia as well, Colombia, Pakistan again, Indonesia. This is a first, so welcome from Suriname. I don't think that we've had somebody mention that they were joining us from Suriname, Ghana, Philippines, and many, many more. So welcome for those who have been with us for 29 times as of today, and then those that are just joining us for the very first time. And with that, we'll start with our questions. We will start with Mr. Mayank, which I'll just share that, thank you. You showed us that when sustainability data becomes intelligent, organizations become truly accountable, and transparency becomes, again, that source of strength. And we have lots of great questions here. I'll start with Strong Truth has asked us, what are the truths and unique challenges Indian companies face when implementing sustainability management platforms, and how is the Sustainability Cloud addressing those?
Okay, sure. So thanks, Mitchell, for that question. So again, like in our experience, what we have seen is that one of the major changes is that sustainability evolution over the last half a decade has happened at a very rapid pace. So which means that even for the sustainability teams, it becomes a good amount of challenge when they start consolidating and aggregating this data of different types and making sure that they are moving towards the you can say right solution. So that's the one piece that we have seen. Second is that again, as the regulations are again evolving at a very rapid pace, so it becomes extremely important for enterprises to do and prioritize the capacity building within the enterprises. So sustainability is a subject, I think, as Professor and Hasdin both pointed out, has to be not just a part of the sustainability team. Even within enterprises, the entire enterprise has to live sustainability in all departments. So that challenge is one which we have seen across both global organizations which are operational at many places, as well as many Indian organizations as well. So this is one area where we have seen the challenge. And in terms of how the sustainability cloud is helping to address these challenges. So one, we basically enable the enterprises to identify their main priority within the huge ESG spectrum and start small. So it's like that. You just first, as I spoke about earlier, you just centralize the data. We don't say that you move into a immediately AI driven systems or high hardcore tech systems. So basically move on this journey with the gradual automation. Why that is required? Because manual data is very extremely high, and then start using pre-reported templates, connecting with partners, and then start scaling as your organization matures out as a part of this particular journey. So this is how the sustainability cloud works with our customers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayank. And I think that's a message that we all need to hear. Sometimes when we see all of these ambitious programs, platforms, conversations, it can be a little overwhelming if you haven't started down that path. So the message of just getting started, start small. We talk about that all the time, even with our Global Climate Pledge. We even just say for individuals, but also for small to mid-sized businesses, just start with one action. Because then you can build upon that. So thank you for sharing. And our next question is for Ms. Hasleen. And before we jump into that, I want to say I got shivers when I saw the quote and the thought, as intelligence races ahead of empathy. Can we save the planet by using family as a source of education and inclusion? I love that word family too, because we always have our chosen family, we have our community family, and we also have our business family, which I always say we are a global sustainability family. So, glad to include that within this space here. And so we have a question here again from Strong Truth. Thank you, Strong, for asking these questions. And he asks, in education, what are the biggest risks in over-automation or technocratic thinking when designing a sustainable future?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing. So the fact that we are linking and bridging science to society, bringing in the data, everything we do is evidence-based. We are really engaged with the tech, everything to do with tech, neurotech, agri-tech, all the tech that you can think of. And I keep telling my team every day, we are a tech company because we need to fully understand not just the opportunities, but the risks. So EdTech especially has gained a lot of attention because of the fact that, everything is about scrolling. We want education system to combine both. This is why when Dr. Wissam invited me to join the Global Ambassadors and Sustainability, Ambassadors of Sustainability, the first thing I said was yes. When we designed World of Kindness 5 years ago, and I said we, it's me, and I'm hoping the rest of my community will come together. And the first community that supported me is my mountain community. Because we're moms, parents, sisters, aunties. So this is coming from fear, right? And we know that if there's a problem, we need to find solutions. We don't just complain. So tech is taking over our lives. I want to address this. This is the first time in history that 5 generations are working together. With 5 generations today. And the one generation that I can name, if we can combine the different generations to bridge that intergenerational gap, which is, by the way, one of the reasons there are societal division and polarization, is this huge gap between generations. There's an opportunity to use tech for good, to bridge this gap, because tech is the one thing that will bring the different generations together. There's a term for that one generation. I call the youth culture that we can all identify with. And there's a term for it. There's research that's been done, and the generation is called perennial. Perennial. Now, this happened to be a green thing, and sustainability is the one plant that is so hardy and so strong and so resilient that it will overcome any weather conditions. Perennial. This is an actual name of a generation, and which I would love for all of us to be part of, the perennial. So coming to the question about tech, right? It's important for us to embrace tech. I was never in the tech world. I've always been in corporate communications. And during my time, we were not really using tech. Social media wasn't a thing, but I had to understand tech. I actually joined a Women Leaders with Tech. There's a difference there. It's not women leaders in tech. It's women leaders with tech, where I tried to understand what's the difference between emerging, frontier, assistive, adaptive. Now we're talking about quantum, right? So it's about lifelong learning, and it's about collaborating. It's about engaging not just the different industries, different communities across regions. The challenge is, how can we use tech for good, and how can we co-create together? How can we design technology to work with, not against? And how do we do this? Is by first and foremost, learn, understand, and learn the risk. If you understand what the challenges are, then you'll be able to address it. So education system, absolutely. We need to start with that. This is why I mentioned that. There will be challenges, and this is why maybe Mayak and I can work together. You know, we can invite people to basically guide us. We can bring in the best that we can bring, and we work together to support one another and have pilot projects, as what is suggested in KSA, UAE, and Singapore. And only through tiny experiments will we be able to be nimble, agile, and make changes as and when we need. Who understands what's going to happen today? No one knows, right? And this is the gray area. And it's like climbing a mountain. It's not about running away. It's about facing it and embracing it, whatever the challenges may be.
Thank you. Wow, so inspiring. And I know that I'm making a commitment. I don't know if I'm part of that. I think that we can all be part of that perennial generation, is what I heard, that we can stake claim to it, even if we're in that older generation. And I like the concept that you mentioned, like it's not just about women in tech, but it's women with tech. And I definitely fall within that realm because we're dealing with tech all the time. And I definitely wouldn't consider myself one that works within it, but I definitely work with it. So thank you for sharing. I want to make note of the QR code that's on the screen right now that Dr. Bassam is putting up. If you are in the audience today, or you're watching virtually after we've gone live, you can use this QR code to also get access to your certificate for today's program. And then also let us know in that correspondence if you are able, if you know of somebody who's going to be an excellent speaker for an upcoming program, and any other items that you would like to share with Dr. Bassam and the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability. So please feel free to access your certificate today with that QR code. Moving on, I want to ask a question for the two of you. Then we'll go back to individual questions again, but this will be for both of you to answer. Dr. Amik Singh Thakur has asked the question, what are the most practical green innovations that emerging businesses can adopt to align with climate goals while staying competitive in the market? And whoever would like to, go ahead.
Yeah, so let me just quickly take a catch at it. So again, like, see, when it comes to like the tech innovations, I believe, and if you start looking at the companies which are working in the space of climate tech. I think the entire session will be too much to actually like say or name many of them. It is a very difficult piece to say which are the most impactful. Again, like I think work in the tech innovation is happening across multiple sectors. So for example, the mobility sector, the electrical mobility sector is a full sector where there's a lot of innovation that has happened globally across all geographies and countries. When it comes to you could say especially the CCUS technologies, where you basically do the carbon capture and storage so as to make sure that you're creating carbon sinks for the excess carbon that is coming into the atmosphere. Green hydrogen is something which is largely impacting the transportation infrastructure globally, again coming like in a very big way. And on the technology side, again, I think AI has started creating a good amount of disruption, especially in the data management schemes that I earlier discussed about. So I believe that these are like a couple of areas where a lot of innovation has happened, and I continuously, like all these seminars and you can say events that I have attended, I'm myself really surprised at the speed of innovation that is coming up when it comes to climate. So I hope that partially answers the question that was asked here.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'll also say we work with a lot of innovations, and I'm surprised at even hearing some of the natural, unique ways that people are using carbon capture techniques and innovations. So yeah, perfect. And Ms. Hasleen?
Yeah, my answer, and this is the answer that I've been giving everyone. So my obsession in the last 5 years have been anything neuroscience of life. And through reading about and understanding what goes on in the brain, how do we ensure that we keep our brain healthy, right? The environment is key. So as we say, I'm someone with ADHD, and I'm also an advocate for neurodiversity. And as I mentioned, when we have an inclusive environment, when we have an inclusive workplace, or a place, whether it's common places, you're actually having a common places for also uncommon minds. And how do we innovate together, whether it's for the environment or for sustainability? It's important to understand every behavior begins with what goes on in the brain. So it's 80% genetic and 20% is environment. So what do we do when we know that we can't control that 80%? 20% is in our hands. And this is where we need to work together and understand not just our physical health in terms of what you can see. And as I said, it's about the invisible framework. The kindness and wellness is an invisible framework, which we are trying to make visible. So like the brain, what you think is not what people can see. So how can we bridge that? Is to understand neuroscience through neurotechnology. So we always say in our team, we like this phrase: when genetic loads the gun, it's actually the environment that pulls the trigger. So on behalf of my community, I'm asking, begging, that the environment is so important for us. It will activate the predisposed genes when you are in the wrong environment. Why don't you ask me, why do I go climbing mountains? I've climbed 88 mountains. I've had women and youth climb mountains with me, over 3,000 women that have climbed mountains with me from Singapore alone. And we are a very small country. From Singapore alone. Why? We all need to escape. And where do we escape to? We escape to the forest. Because the forest is where we thrive. So with technology, we can bring in the nature, sustainability, and understanding of neuroscience for the future. This is about brain capital, brain economy, and it's about using your environment to be good to your brain. So.
And thank you so much. I'm a huge fan of that. I love hiking, is like my number one go-to to recuperate, and I use it just on my own personal level, but I didn't think about how that's even accessing utilizing it in my work on a regular basis as well. So thank you for doing that. And it's interesting with the brain, with AI, a little bit on a different topic, but I know that as we use more and more AI, and I use it as well, but the more that we use it, it can enhance the way that we think, but it can also just diminish our critical thinking skills. So just everyone being aware of that, I think moving forward, just from looking at some of the studies that have been done as well. So thank you so much. And our next question, we'll go back to just individual questions. Mr. Mayank, Kenichi Miki asks, is it really enough to rely only on siloed corporate data? Sustainability is a challenge of society as a whole, not just individual companies. I believe what we need is a sustainability cloud that connects data and actions across society.
So I think, Michelle, that's a very, very good and philosophical question out there. And at the behest, I do agree with that concept that largely what even Hasleen pointed out, that you need to embed sustainability in every facet, whether of the society, the enterprise. Again, like industry is nothing but a part of the larger society. So again, the way to solve out any complex problem is to basically divide it into smaller pieces and then try and address each one of them, and that's what is required. So each one of us bring a different skill set, a different expertise on the table when it comes to giving our contributions towards climate change, towards sustainability in the longer run. And so currently, we have been focusing on the B2B, the industrial side of things, the governance side of things, which has a big potential to impact the way these sectors have been working. And I'm sure that in the times to come, sustainability has to be embedded in the day-to-day level at every individual, rather than just the large corporates or the government piece. So that's what my response would be.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it must be on everyone's mind here, because we also have, for you, Hasleen, a question from Strong Truth, going back to the siloed question again. In Singapore, from a system architecture perspective, how can global sustainability challenges like energy transition, food systems, and AI governance approached more holistically rather than in silos?
Wow. Yes, that is our constant problem in Singapore, because we're small and natural resources is not exactly the main resource that Singapore has. We are a city-state. And that's why technology is important for Singapore, and not only that, for the region. So we're looking at not just Singapore as one, because we should never operate as silos. We work now with technology. The world is becoming really small. And for good, and we can use it to our advantage and disadvantage as well. So with Singapore, we have to look at it from not just a country, a city, but a region. So we work with our neighbors. So and that was a life-changing seminar, conference that I attended in Singapore, which is the International Conference for Societal Cohesion, which Singapore hosts every 3 years. Inviting leaders across different industries, especially people who are interested in and to make impact on the social aspect of life. And that was really life-changing when I actually saw the data in terms of social cohesion and how can we end polarization, how can we love our neighbors, how can we love we're not just human in this planet. There are animals, there are flora, fauna, and there's also fungi that a lot of people forget. So how can we work together in terms of to-face challenges? PPP, private, public, participation, people, right? And policies. And so we need to really look at policies differently. We need to look at partnership policies differently. So I really admire the work also that's been launched recently by University of Sussex. They have launched the Center for Progressive Futures. And I've been thinking about the word progressive futures and strategic foresight. And I was just in University of Sussex the day before for the Center for neuroscience and cognitive consciousness. And this is, again, my obsession. This is why I wanted to bring in the data about empathy, about kindness. And University of Sussex also have the Center for Kindness Research. Now, that is progressive futures. And what does this mean? Different industries, the different faculties are now working together to understand what the real world problems are, whether it's climate or to end polarization or crisis, right? How we need the different expertise, the different skill sets to come together and to have that diverse thoughts and diverse ability to think out of the box. Neurodiverse individuals like me, we don't think within a box. We don't see a box. Now, we use technology, obviously, to try and advance because we have rapid fire way of thinking and solving problems. So using technology, working together, co-creating, listening to the people who are not in the room and representing them. So we're talking youth. We're talking people who are not able to communicate. Right? I don't know how many in the audience actually who can't see me. If you can't see me, I'm wearing brown. I'm a Malay woman from Asia. So we need to think about this. People who can't see, people who can't hear. So that's why we need assistive tech. And insurance needs to come in as well. Insurance companies will have to relook at the way they're selling insurance to individuals, companies, and also how you can support the people who are underrepresented, who are not being heard of or not listened to. So this is why we've created an ecosystem, HA Give, and we've identified beneficiaries who have not been seen or heard, especially the non-communicative autistic communities that are all over the world who needs tech in order for them to be able to communicate. So assistive tech has to be adaptable and, most importantly, affordable. So we need insurance companies to come and work together with our community to support those to change their lives.
Wow, so much information there, Hasleen. Thank you so much. I mean, using integrated tech in this process for unsupported communities, we haven't really talked much about. The collective consciousness I bring up in our team meetings all the time. I feel like that's probably one of the more powerful things that we in the sustainability movement can use. And I also want to say in Singapore, I always want to give a shout out to Singapore when we were there for our global sustainability expedition. I think what they have going for them is that they're such a small country. So yeah, there's challenges, but at the same time, all the leaders in that space really do know each other, and they come together and they can brainstorm and come up with solutions so much easier than in super large countries where there's so many different cities and you have to communicate back and forth within each other. And I also want to give a shout out to Tay, who's out there in the audience today, helping us. He just did one of our research documents on Singapore and just did a really beautiful job. It was a great reminder of how sustainable they really are. Still have work to do, just like everyone else, but they are definitely near the top of that list.
Can I just add also one point, because Singapore is organizing the World Cities Summit next year, and the Center for Livable Cities are working closely, and we have been in touch with Center for Livable Cities as well. And from what I know is that they're incorporating the neuroscience of understanding how can we redesign cities to be more livable and lovable. So we organized a roundtable whereby we got findings, and we got HOK in Washington, D.C., Kay Sargent, who has actually published a book on neuro-inclusive workplace and how can we take the findings and the principles to then relook and rethink, because to design cities, it should not be an afterthought that you bring in the greenery and green spaces and spaces that would apply to the needs of everyone. It needs to start from the foundation. So this white paper that we will announce and release shortly this week, hopefully will help policymakers and architects, interior designers, city master planners to actually rethink on how we design cities. And a lot of that work that we do brings in the best practices actually in Singapore. How do we create a community where we can walk everywhere? We can walk to growing up, I walk everywhere, to the community center, to my school, to the library. I used to think that, why don't I take the bus? Because I couldn't afford it. And also walking really helps with neuroplasticity, the whole mind-body system working together. It actually helps you produce new neurons in your brains.
Well, we'll all keep a lookout for the white paper from you and your team. So thank you so much. And I know we're running out of time here. So I think, Mayank, we have one final question for you. And before I ask the question, I just want to say that for anybody who has asked questions and we didn't get a chance to get to them today, number one, thank you so very much. We will try and get them up on the post that Dr. Wissam and the Global Ambassadors of Sustainability puts out after this to promote the program. And we'll just go ahead and ask those questions and drop them into that thread. So for our speakers, you can answer some of the questions there as well. And so our question, I love this one because we work with small businesses and medium-sized businesses. We know that the majority of the world's businesses are SMEs. So Tan Ning Wan asks, how can small businesses adopt digital ESG systems cost effectively?
Sure. Now, I think that's, I would classify that as a very important question, because while the large corporates and enterprises do have all the means necessary to start aligning with the climate goals and the actions, a major chunk of the climate impact is there, which basically impacts the small businesses and the SMEs. So what my approach here has been is that like the businesses, the small businesses, they should really focus upon starting simple. So when I say starting simple, usually the regulatory compliances are the aspect which becomes important for SMEs to adhere to. These may be the local regulations or the regulations pertaining to the markets in which they are basically importing globally. So usually the sustainability piece starts from there. And this can be across any of the use cases, like whether it is your carbon footprints or whether it is your plastic footprints, waste footprints. So that is how usually the small businesses start. Once they have started incorporating one aspect or one facet of the sustainability, they can basically first start purely with manual data out there. No automation, no integration, no investments in technology to start with, just pure manual data out there. And as they get more and more comfortable, the automation piece can then be in a very incremental, in a very gradual fashion. So this will start building an efficiency in their normal day-to-day operations while they continue to manage the sustainability per se. The Sustainability Cloud plays a crucial role out here, because it enables them to have this entire facility in a very off-the-shelf B2B SaaS model. It has like a pre-built ESG templates, pre-built reporting templates, and all these complexities of these frameworks pre-integrated into the platform, which means that they really don't need to bother to have a complex sustainability team out there for managing all these challenges. And then once they have reached like a basic level of understanding and they have done the capacity building, then is when they should start scaling out there, which again can be easily done by moving from carbon footprints to water footprints to waste footprints to energy management, and again the climate disclosures for newer markets or newer geographies. Net zero planning will basically come into play as the SMEs will start facing the impact related to the cost advantage that they can get, especially in export-oriented markets.
Thank you so very much. And I want to just give a huge thank you to each of you, our speakers today, who have just done such a beautiful job. I've been able to just absorb so much information. I know all of our listeners have as well. You can tell by the amount of questions that have come in and continue to come in. And I want to say thank you so much to the audience. we wouldn't be here without you. You are just a key part of who we are as part of the International Talk. And again, Dr. Wissam, I'm passing it back to you because you've brought us all here together today to learn and thrive in this sustainability space. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle, and the guest speakers and the audience for this engagement and enlightening discussion, which again brought up a lot of potential for collaboration and networking for the benefits of the humanity. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week in our upcoming webinar. We'll be posting the details very soon. So have a good time, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Good
Thanks,
evening.
thanks
So much,
everybody.
everyone.
Nice. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.